Welcome to the Take Action Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Simmons, here to help you take massive action to being your best self. Many people don't believe in their own potential and don't always have the courage to change their situation. Join me and other guests as we give you practical ways to releasing your potential so that you can be your best self. Now let's stop playing and take action. What's up, y'all? It's Nicole here, and I have another episode for you. And today I have a special guest with me today. And I'm going to read a little bit about this person because I think it's worth introducing this person this way. He is an entrepreneur, businessman. He is a music educator, a composer, a creator. He has opened a music school, one of the first ones of its kind in the United States, for the last 15 years. And he has been married for 17 years to the same person and has dated the same person for over 20 years. So y'all, please help me welcome Brian Simmons, my husband, to the Take Action Podcast show. Hey, Brian.
What's going on, Nick? That was that's a good one. We're in two different locations. This makes it even fun. You know what I'm saying?
It's good fun. Yes.
Yeah. How you doing?
Well, welcome to the Take Action Podcast show. I'm so glad to have you on today.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. Listen, I had to go through all your people and your people's people to get you on the show. So I'm glad to have you here. So we're going to talk about some things. That our series that we're doing is about freedom, and I thought it was so on time for you to come on and have this conversation with me about freedom in relationships. You know, we're going to share a little bit of insight as to what that looks like, and love. I'm so excited and love to hear from you because we always have such good conversations.
Yeah.
Around, relationships, intimacy, connection, friendship. I mean, all the things. So I want to jump right in. But first, is there anything else that you would like to share with yourself, with our audience?
About myself? No.
About you. Yeah. A little bit something that I didn't say.
Something that you didn't say. I am I really desire and I love helping people in their visions for their life, helping people find the visions for their life. I have a lot of time I get to help other people, have programs I do with that and help them get to their heart's desire. So that's something I do on, to help individuals do that. So that's really it. I love playing the piano. You know all that stuff. They know.
I know it, but you're on the show, so other people may not know. I said you were a musician, but can you, I thought this is a fun fact about you.
Okay.
Can you share with us, before we jump in, like how many instruments you play?
How many instruments I know how to play? Yeah, I know I played 13 of them, 13 instruments.
Wow. Okay. So this episode is not about music, but I just always find that fascinating that you can play 13 and I struggle to play one chord on the piano. But okay, I digress. So we're talking about, why are you shaking your head? All right.
That's true. That's why.
We're going to focus here today. This is going to be fun though. I'm so glad that you're here. So we're talking about freedom, and I really wanted to just dive in and start off. I have a question that I wanted to ask you, and I've been wanting to ask you this question for a little while. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So as it relates to, relationships, I mean, we've been married for 17 years.
Yep.
And we've been dating for 20 years, right? It's been 20?
You don't remember?
It's been 20. I think it's been 20.
It's been 20. Yes.
All right. It's been 20 years. So I think you might know a little bit about relationships, and I love that, to bring your perspective. So from your perspective, why do you think freedom is important for a strong relationship?
Why is freedom important for a strong relationship? For me, I think any relationship where you're free, it's important because strength is only based off of the ability to express. In our relationship, I've seen that me being aware of who I am and being free to express that to you, it makes us closer together. Like, I love movies, for example. I just enjoy movies, and being free to express, hey, I want to be free. I want to enjoy movies.
Mm.
You're like, okay, watch a movie with me. We get stronger together because it's important because I'm expressing. I'm allowing you to be able to see who I am, and I'm aware of myself, so I'm able to share myself with you, and then it makes us stronger together. It brings us closer together, allows us to have an opportunity to really connect. Because without freedom, for me, the opposite is hiding.
Oh,
right.
okay.
I'm hiding myself. Right.
Yeah.
I'm hiding myself. So how can we be strong if I'm not free to be myself and free to express? So it's very important because the opposite of freedom is hiding.
Mm.
And I think our relationship has lasted so long because we're able to be free. So we get stronger every day. We get stronger every week because I'm free to share. You're free to share. And it really brings a connection, and we are stronger and we're not weaker. Because when you hide, you become weaker.
Oh, that's good. I like how you said that. I mean, I know y'all. He's gonna drop so many gems along the way because it's just when you're hiding, you're weaker, and it's true. Like that is something that I do know about you. You know that you enjoy movies and things like that. To be free, and I think for me, it's the same thing. Like I think that being able to be yourself
Okay.
and to explore the things that you enjoy and having you come alongside or having your spouse come alongside with you in those things, right? I mean, not every single thing, we don't like the same things and we don't always enjoy the same things, but I think being open and willing to be with that person and explore with them is a level of freedom as well, and that makes us stronger. Because I mean, I've learned there's been many, many, many different things that you've enjoyed that I didn't really care for, but just doing that with you, I've learned more, about you, and it's made our relationship stronger.
Yeah.
And I would say, for you too, you've done things that weren't like
hiking.
Really? Hiking? I didn't know hiking was one.
I did. Who hiked before we got? I didn't hike before we got together. Well, I wasn't walking in the woods for no reason. What are we walking in the woods for?
It's nature.
I'm in a room playing, recording, creating, hiking. I'm good. So that you share those areas of what makes us stronger. I learned something about you. You get life by being outside. You get life. You get it. So you become more excited because you wasn't hiding that part from me. So say you want to be free. Hey, Brian, I want you to come with me. Because of that, I said, oh, we get stronger. I learn another piece, a part of who you are. So we get stronger by me just going on a hike and we having a good time, get all the snacks and everything. So I'm excited. It's exciting to know that I have the opportunity to connect like that.
Yes. And so, I mean, you said something that I want to kind of touch on because you said the opposite of freedom is hiding. And so why do you feel like, sometimes in relationships that, and I'll ask you from a man's perspective, sometimes men hide, like you find out things maybe later or you didn't know that about them. And, I can speak for myself or from a woman's perspective, but why do you feel like sometimes there's this sense of hiding? And sometimes it can cause a lot of pain and hurt in a relationship, right?
Yeah. I would say, I think the challenge is being able to identify what the word intimacy means.
Mm-hmm.
Because if two parties have different levels, like you and I have different levels of, different understanding of intimacy, you're going to hide something that you might think should not be spoken. So as a man hides information because it is part of his ego to try to keep an image of with me. I've done it many times. Like, hey, Nicole, I kind of left those clothes in the dishwasher. In the laundry. I'm gonna get to it. You're like, well, what are you doing? That's part of hiding because, like, no, hey, freedom. Hey, the clothes in the in the washing machine. I get it when I get back home. Versus hiding it because I don't want you to see me differently. Now, I think hiding for men is men don't want their women to see them differently, right? To lower their expectation or lower their desire for them. So they hide the failures or the problems or the concerns or the fears or regrets.
Yeah.
And I think you cannot get strong in a relationship unless you're able to say, hey, I'm going to be intimate. As a man, I'm going to be intimate, which means I don't hide how I feel. I can say it nicely. I don't hide if I'm afraid of something. I've told you many times, hey, I'm a little nervous about this. I'm a little scared about stepping this out. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if we're going to be to get to the goal. I've said that to you before. I'm not hiding those feelings. Oh, I really need a hug right now. And you come over and give me a hug. Or I'll say, you know what? I really need to go out and have some fun because I want to express. I'm celebratory. I like to eat. And I didn't hide my joy and go do it myself or go with someone else.
Yeah.
So for me, I think when you hide, you're actually pulling away from the partner versus getting closer to the partner. So I don't think hiding is something that is beneficial. I think it actually holds relationships stagnant, and you actually go opposite direction. So men hide because of ego. They don't want to be seen differently.
Yeah, and I think, I can't speak for every woman, but I'm just kind of generally, I think sometimes that we hide, that women might hide because of fear of rejection, not being accepted, for, like you said, shame. Sometimes there might be something in our past, or even things that we're thinking about that it may cause conflict if we bring it up, and so not wanting to do that, to keep everything kind of peaceful and harmonious, then it's this hiding, and I think of a funny, like a funny example, but it kind of proves the point where, the wife goes out shopping and buys something new, and then she hides it in the closet for weeks and months. And then one day she just wears it and she's like, oh, I've had this forever, And it's like, I've heard that story many times. Like, it's a funny thing, that I've heard different speakers and people talk about. But it's also an example of that type of hiding. Like, okay, he's going to say something about the way I spend, or he's got something to say, and I don't want to have that conflict or have to explain myself, those types of things. And so I think that sometimes we will do that for those reasons, and of course, there's individual situations that might be varied or different. But I think, the fear of rejection or that fear of conflict, not wanting that is a reason to hide as well, and it causes the relationship to break down a lot, and so I know that we have kind of, journeyed through some things. Can you share just, I want to move on to some of the other questions, but like you have been through your own journey of freedom, right? I've seen you, but you're very different than you were even last year, the year before that. Like the last 2 years have really grown, like, in so many different ways. So can you share a little bit about what you did to go from hiding to really being more open?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because I'm thinking about, man, that's a good question. I think
I told you I was coming with it. I told you
was coming. You was kind of. So I think one is value. I've had to figure out what's the most important thing that I value in my life, in our relationship, and one is you, right? So I value you. So because I value who you are as a person, why would I want to hide something? I didn't have that thought before. I loved you, I thought you would, but my value went up. It's like a diamond ring. You can buy one for $2,000, you can buy one for $7,000, you can buy one for $10,000, and keep going up. The value is placed on the person who's buying. So my value for you started to increase. So I started seeing you differently. So I was like, why would I hide myself? Because by me sharing myself with you, I am expressing how much I value you.
Wow. That's good.
And I had to learn that. It wasn't like I love you. Let's say I love you at $2,000.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But now I've realized, you know what? I think I've seen her different. How do I express to her that I value you? That was my thinking. How do I express that I value? Oh, by me sharing more and not hiding my feelings, being aware of how I'm feeling, being in touch with my feelings. You know, I got the feeling wheel out. I said, I'm feeling like this today. I got the feeling wheel out. I'm feeling like this today. You was like, Brian, you telling me every day is a new feeling. I said, well, I'm trying to connect, and it was new.
You're on your feelings.
I was telling all my feelings. I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling irritated. I'm feeling disappointed. You're like, I can pinpoint. And I think sometimes in relationship, it's hard to be aware and get quiet to be aware of the feelings.
Yeah.
And you know, my counselor, he was like, hey, just how do you feel? I'm like, I feel good. I feel good. Oh, another song. But I feel good. I just feel good. He's like, well, good is just go deeper.
Yeah.
And so I said, I don't have the vocabulary for my feelings.
Oh.
I think you can't be in a relationship without having a vocabulary for feelings.
Yeah.
So I literally had, I really literally had the feeling wheel on my phone. Like, okay, I feel disappointed with this. I feel like we could have done this, that in our relationship today. I feel like this. And then you were able to connect to that word. And I gave you an example of it. So now by me doing that, I'm adding value. And you're seeing that I value who you are in my life. And that's what the change has been the last couple of years. I just been doing that.
I love it, man. Golden nugget. I need to get a bell just to ring the bell whenever when people start saying things that are just dropping those golden nuggets. That is so good. And I certainly have appreciated, the openness. And it's also been an example for me too, to follow suit, to do the same thing, to value you in a different way by being more open, not holding on and saying, well, I'll talk about this, a week later. Like, no, I value him. He needs to know where I'm at. He needs to know if I'm feeling, if I feel ambiguous about it. Like, I don't know, but I want to be able to process this and be able to share with you what's going on. So I like that. I like that a lot. Now, so that leads me to another question.
Okay.
Right? Since we're talking about, feelings and really being able to tap into those feelings, that creates a sense of intimacy, right?
Yep.
Between us, between two people that are in a relationship, that are married, when they start to be open and vulnerable with each other. So what is, from your definition, what is relationship intimacy then?
Money.
Okay. Talk about it. Oh, we going there. We talking about the money.
Not the real money. I think it's currency. I think the word is trust. Relationship intimacy is trust.
Yeah.
And so there's degrees of trust that comes with vulnerability.
Yeah.
And for me, relationship intimacy starts with, okay, I'm gonna give you 2 cents of trust.
That's good.
I'm gonna tell you that I feel disappointed. After I tell you I feel disappointed, I'm just gonna wait. How do you respond with my currency of telling you I feel disappointed? Why are you mad about that? You be all right. Oh, I can't trust you. You only getting 2 cents. That's all you get. You're not gonna get the 4 cents. You're not gonna get 5 cents. I can't go to I'm disappointed and I feel like I'm a failure. So that's a whole nother emotion.
Yeah.
So relationship intimacy for me is giving out trust. So when I give out how I feel, I'm now saying, okay, how can I trust you in your response? I think relationship intimacy is all about the response. It is not about what you actually say. It's the other person's response.
Yeah.
Because now I'm telling you how I feel. Your response is now let me know if I can trust you if we're going to go deeper in this relationship, because I told you how I felt.
Yeah.
But your response
was
not what I needed or what I desired, so we can go deeper into the feelings. Because I actually want to talk about how I feel. I want to express. I don't want to yell. I might be angry. I might be tensed. I might be quiet. I might be moody. But I think relationship intimacy equals the other person's response.
This is why we have hours and hours of conversation, because, and being able to respond appropriately, right? And
but I don't know if you can respond appropriately unless you're aware of the person's needs.
Okay.
I think we respond based on how we was trained.
Yes.
upbringing or what the society says versus saying, hey, how would you like for me to respond to you? Have just open it. How would you like for me to respond to you when you're feeling nervous? Hug me. It's the questions. How would you like me to respond to you if you're feeling like unsure or nervous or feeling like you don't feel like we're close? How would you like for me to respond? Because I want to build intimacy, so that I think both of us had to do that. Both of us did it. Like, okay, how would you like for me to respond to if we're running late and you know I'm upset?
Yes, that's true. And I think it's assumed, like we assume that we know how to respond to the other person, and it's really not always the conversation. We don't have conversations about how would you like me to respond. And I think from a woman's perspective, it's like, well, you should already know this. Like we have these, I just talked about this on my podcast about expectations, right? We talked about expectations and it's like we have these expectations of what you should already know how to do, how to respond to me. Like that should just be innate, and likewise, like we think that we already know how to respond to you, and so to ask the question, how do you want me to respond to you? I think it's humbling.
Yep. And
it's vulnerable.
And it also shows that the other person is willing to value what you say. Because if like you told me, you're too harsh with how you're talking to me, you respond. I'm like, well, how would you like for me to respond? Just sit with me. Let's talk. Right. Sometimes in the moment, you say, oh, how would you like for me to respond? Because I realize how we're not connecting. I'm losing trust. You're not interested in the moment. Sometimes we've done it multiple times. How would you like for me to respond? Yeah,
that is so. I mean, that's it. Like that's the ding, ding, ding. Like that's another golden nugget.
Yeah.
Truly, right? To be able to have that level of intimacy is by asking the question, how would you like me to respond when you're feeling fearful? How would you like me to respond? I can't even tell you, like we learned that was a tool that we have learned, especially, really like over these last 2 years, I think our relationship has gone like a 180, really. And I'm so grateful for that tool because it causes you to pause for a second and become self-aware as well, how you're showing up with that other person, because we see ourselves one way, but then I like the way I'm experiencing you right now, right? I would say the way I'm experiencing you right now is this. And so it's like, okay, then that gives an opportunity to correct, or to, say, all right, maybe I'm not the perfect person that I think that I
am. Right.
So, which leads me to asking you this. You're so easy to talk to. I'm so glad that you're on the show today.
Well, thank you.
Is being where we're not perfect. And we hear this all the time, I'm not perfect. And sometimes I think that word is overused to excuse behavior. I'm just going to put it out there. Okay. Yep. And with allowing one another to learn and to grow, especially with how to respond, where do you think that, where can you find the space, in your relationship? Like, how do you create space to be open and honest and vulnerable? Like, how do you create that space?
I think that's the big word, create. I think in that question, the word is create. Mm-hmm. It's not doing. Creating, as a composer and a writer myself, creating means there's a blank sheet of paper.
Okay.
There's nothing on the track. There's nothing there. I'm about to create space. It's like decorating. I think taking that mentality, how do I set space up in our relationship to create the space? Do we talk on the couch? Our couch is our time where we share. Is it when we go on our walk? Like, this is what we're going to write our time. Is it when we're in the car? You and I sit in the garage in the car and just talk in the garage. Like, we got a whole house. But that's the place where we've actually created, because that's how we started dating. Yeah. When we started dating, we would just drive and we sit in the car and just talk. Yeah. And we created space years ago just talking in the car. Mm-hmm. And I think is you create the space by planning where we're going to do it.
Okay.
right? There has to be a physical place, a physical moment in time. You have to create. Music is a sound, art. You have to physically draw something, put something on the paper. You have to actually have something created, a space.
Yeah.
When you create the space, then you have to put rules in that space.
Okay.
In this space, when we talk, right, there's no words always, you never, out all the time. Those words are not allowed in this creative space.
Yeah.
Right? There's framework in there, or you create space by having rules. When we get here, we're gonna share positive things we do first, and then talk about the things we do work on, and then come back with positive, like a sandwich technique. So we both leave this space, this time, where we're able to feel like we had space and time. There's a beginning and an ending too. Like, hey, we're not gonna talk for 2 hours about this,
right?
Or we need to talk 2 hours about this. Let's go get some lunch. Let's go get some eat. Let's talk out. Let's play. Let's create the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It does not happen without creativity. You don't write a song just because you thinking about to write a song. You actually got to write it. You got to sit down and play it. It's the same thing. Unless you got to physically create it. And I think we've done a really good job of that in the latter years of our relationship. At the beginning, we thought it would just happen. Maybe while we're sitting at church, we're having our space to be great. Or maybe when we out to eat, sometimes out to eat, one of us had a hard day. We never even talking about what we want to talk about because we had a hard day, or we're excited about something. We never get to the space to be able to be open and free, where we both have a dialogue and not just a monologue.
Yeah, and I know that being able to create that space to be able to be open, to be honest, to be vulnerable is important because it takes intentionality. You have to be intentional to do it. And life happens, right? Life, as I love it. What was it? One of the young people said, life be lifing.
Life be lifing.
Oh, I heard that. I just started laughing. That was the funniest thing. Life be lifing. And life happens, and sometimes you get off of your routine, you get off of the check-ins, you get off of the being intentional about it. And there are distractions that come and bring you off course. And so how do you, what have you done as a husband, as a man, the leader in our marriage? What have you done to help to minimize distractions from that space for us to
priorities? I got 5 priorities every day or every week. If I hit the 5 priorities, they're good. If I miss them, they don't go well.
Okay.
So priorities mean I put them on my schedule, or it's on top of mind. Right. One of my 5 priorities is us having a date night or a date time together, uninterrupted time without a cell phone. If that's 20 minutes this week, because we got a full week, if that's an hour, if that's 3 hours, whatever it is, in these next 7 days, you and I will have uninterrupted time from work, family, business, everything. We will have that time. Number one. Right? So that's a guarantee once a week. Now, it's going to change. It might not be the Friday, it might be the Saturday, but long as that within that 7 time, we've done it. So I think that has what has really kept us together for so many years, to be honest with you. Because if we miss 2 weeks, it feels like I don't even know you. Like, who you?
Who are you?
I don't know you. And I'm like, oh man, I would have forgot. We ain't spent no time. You've been on your phone. I've been on my phone. I've been watching movies. You've been working. I don't know who you are. What's up, Nicole? That's how you doing? Like a lost friend, because the priority. And I think every couple, individual first sets their own priority, and then you bring those priorities together. Here's one of my priorities. Here's your priority. Oh, we both agree on this priority. Well, this is our family priority.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's that priorities, and then placing them in the week's calendar based off of what's important in hierarchy for your family. That's what we've done. That's what I've done.
I love it. And it definitely does work. And so you talked about, priorities and creating that space. And I know that, and to have that type of freedom and continue that, there are levels to it, right? It's not just, okay, we're just free. There are levels to freedom, just like you gave the example of the trust and being able to, start at 2% or $2, and then you increase that trust based on response, so forth and so on. And so in terms of, I want to talk a little bit about, before I ask you the next question, because there's so much that I want to share, that I want to ask you, is in terms of freedom and the different levels of freedom, how how do you maneuver when, I'll say for me as your spouse, when you've seen me grow, like I've evolved over the last 2 years, and
Right.
I'm not the same person that I was 2 years ago, based on the things that I've been involved in and things that I've
Right.
done for myself. And then, I show up differently, and the same as you, but I kind of ventured into some things that were very different, like bodybuilding. And that was very different,
Yeah.
for our relationship as well.
Right.
And so how do you maneuver when how do you maneuver and be free in your relationship when your spouse is just changing so much, and you're changing, but you're looking at them like, wow, they really,
That changed.
I mean, you real free, like what you doing over there?
I think the word freedom has got a bad rap, because
Okay.
real free means you have no control.
Ah.
That's when I hear people say, "You real free? You out there just doing it." No,
Yeah.
that's not. That's not what freedom means. Freedom means, for me, in the backyard, you have a fence up. You can run around this fence.
Mm-hmm.
Inside this fence, you are free to roam all around.
Mm-hmm.
But when you leave outside this fence of our family's freedom, we got a problem. There's nothing that you've done that we have not had a conversation. Conversation is the fence.
That's good.
So if you're not having a conversation, there is no room to be free.
Yeah.
Right? So us sitting down and have a conversation about your career, about your hobbies, conversation about vacations, conversation about traveling, conversation about spending money, conversation about buying foods. Every time we have a conversation, we're putting the fence up so that we can be free in that area, free with our money, free with our hobbies. But if we're not having a conversation, there is no fence. So without the conversation, there's not freedom. That's actual bondage.
Wow.
So the less conversation you have,
Mm-hmm.
the more in bondage you will be.
The less conversation you have, the
More in bondage.
more in bondage you'll be.
The more conversation you have about the topic, about your hobby. I knew you was athletic.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about when I got married. I know you played sports every season of your high school year.
Yeah.
We talked about that before we got together. So when you was like, "Hey, I'm really thinking about going to bodybuilding," I said, "Okay, tell me about it. What's interesting about it? Let's have a conversation." We talked about it. We went to shows. We have multiple conversations about bodybuilding, which was putting up the fence so you can feel free to express yourself.
Yeah. And that was, I kind of hesitated at first because, I got some unfavorable comments,
Responses.
responses to me. And I was like, so it kind of made me pause for a moment, because I was kind of dealing with, all right, is this right? Should I be doing this?
Right.
Oh, you're married, you're a Christian woman, all of these things, like you can't do, almost like you can't do this because of this, or your husband's letting you do this. And I was like, letting me? Like,
No.
like that. So what was like, how did you respond to all this? Because we had conversations about it.
We did.
Yeah.
I responded by, it doesn't fit in our fence.
Hmm.
Their comments don't fit inside of our fence. It don't even matter what they said, because we've communicated what this is. This is opportunity for you to increase how you physically feel about yourself, about being disciplined. We knew it was more than just bodybuilding. You're like, I want to challenge myself for 12 months and stay disciplined. I've never done something like this before. I want to keep my mind focused on one thing. I want to be able to build that mental muscle.
Yeah.
Right. I want to build that mental muscle. And that was our conversation. So everything else, I dealt with the realizing we didn't have a conversation about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That statement don't even fit inside of our house. So that doesn't add any value to what we had our conversation about.
Yeah.
If it's wisdom, yeah, they're like, "Hey, Brian, you should probably go to the event so you can see your supporter." I said, "Okay, Nicole, I go to a couple of events that you have, and we do it." but I won't be able to make all of them. Let's have a conversation. Will you still be okay with doing this without me not traveling with you? He's like, yeah, I don't want to be excited when you come home. We had conversation because I wasn't excited all the time when you came home from your thing. Like, we had a conversation. Well, I had to put another fence up so that we can say, okay, this is what it looks like. So I think that's what we've done.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I love what you're saying, and what I hear too is like when you're free, there's boundaries. You have boundaries for yourself and in your relationship. You have boundaries, not control, boundaries.
Yeah, the boundaries. Control is you cannot do something.
Right.
A boundary is we haven't talked past this point, so we should not do anything until we come to agreement.
Yeah.
Conversation is about coming to an agreement on it.
Right.
If we haven't agreed, neither one of us should pass this point yet until we've agreed.
Yeah. And that I think if that is violated, that creates, right? That creates the hiding, that creates the distrust, that creates the separation. So you really can't be free. So if so it's advantageous. I like that word, advantageous. I think it's advantageous to have the conversations because that's to the level of conversation and agreement about where the direction that you're going in is the level of freedom that you're going to experience.
Yeah, I think you just said the level, and I think that's the thing. Sometimes we try to go too far, too fast in a relationship. You see another couple doing something. We did it. Another couple talked about this. Okay, maybe it's time for us to buy a house. Well, that ain't a part of our conversation. We ain't buying no house right now. That ain't what we're doing. That ain't what conversation. Right. But because of other conversation you have with other people, you bring it to your relationship. And you have to be able to, hey, is that us? Is that what we really want? Or is it something if we do, let's talk about it.
Right.
Let's have a conversation. Look at the pros and the cons. I think there's no good conversation without the pro and the cons.
Right.
I want to go on a vacation. Okay. What's the pro? What's the con? What's the positive? What's the pro and con? Okay. Does the pros outweigh the cons? If it does not, we got to keep problem solving until we get where the pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah. I love how you said, sometimes you might have conversations with other people that are outside of the boundaries of what you talked about in your own, in your own relationship. And that can cause conflict and try to bring that back and operate as if this is this is what we're doing too. And it's like, no. And so in light of that, right, because that's some people, some couples may even say, well, I just want to be free. Like he or she won't let me be free based on conversations maybe they've had with somebody else. And then they're bringing that back to their relationship. So Brian, what would you say? How do you fully express yourself, right, in your relationship? How can you fully express yourself in your relationship? Like, that's it. That's the question. I'm like, I can go so many places, but.
Well, I think you just said something that's interesting about not being free in your own relationship. So you don't express yourself, so you hide. I think one of the most important things is having a third party.
Okay.
Counselors, friends, people, not friends, really counselors, people who are skilled at helping you deal with the emotions about something that you're not coming to an agreement on. Right? You don't have to do it all the time, but learn the skills to be able to have a conversation, to be able to say, okay, I want to express myself, but when I express myself, this violates one of her values. I don't think you should express yourself if it violates. I shouldn't express myself if it violates a value for you.
That.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm expressing myself, but it's going to be a negative influence on you. So you was going through bodybuilding. I wouldn't bring it home. I wouldn't express myself with Wendy's and Chick-fil-A. Nothing wrong with these places. Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, ribs. I wouldn't, even though I might have won it, I wasn't bringing it home because that would violate what we talked about that we're doing for our family. So I expressed myself, when you got a cheat meal, hey, we cheating together. Right? We're gonna have an indulgent meal together. Say it again.
I said we don't cheat up in here. We have
Right. Indulgent meals. Right. That's right. We changed that one. Indulgent meals. And I think you can express yourself when you're aware of how my response is affecting the other person.
Man.
If I do it, I'm not expressing the best of myself. If I do it and it hurts the person, I do it and it hurts you.
Yeah.
I'm not expressing myself in the context of the best for the other person, because I'm in a relationship to add value, because I value. I'm not going to throw my ring in some muddy water.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? I'm going to clean it off, shine it. So I want to express myself. I think expression is about love, not about being free. So I express myself by showing you who I am. That's loving. Being free and going out eating wings and chicken wings and all that stuff around you, like, girl, that's your life. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And you're like, you just tempted me. That ain't loving. Why would you even do that to me? You know I want them ribs. So that's not a loving act, because you're tempting me. And temptation is not something that we should be having. That's a negative thing when you have a goal. Right. So expressing myself means expressing myself to you where that you get the response and the things you need to feel loved. Not beat up, not he just doing his own thing. He's out at night, he doing his own thing. You know, if I'm working at school late, I'll say, hey, Nicole, I want to get this. Well, how will this affect what you have going on tonight? Yeah. Be like, you're gonna come in late. It might, okay, well, I'll do it tomorrow night. Okay, and we talk about that because I want to express love. That's me being free, because that's freedom in conversation.
I mean, I think that would be like the king, the queen of golden nuggets, right? Is that there's freedom in conversation.
Productive conversation.
Productive conversation. Well, some people might say, I don't feel comfortable having conversations with.
That's why you have to have a third party.
Gotcha.
You usually don't or that's one option. The other option is you might need to ask the person, how would you like for me to respond so that we can have better productive conversations?
Yeah. Again,
ask some questions.
Yeah. I mean, we can just keep on going on and on.
I know we can. We talk all day, every day, all day.
All day, every day. Every night, all day. Well, I have just maybe one or two more things that I want to just kind of get your insight on, because you here on the podcast, we don't get you very often, and so I'm excited to have you, just share your wisdom, and I appreciate you being, open and honest about yourself, about, our relationship, and even the freedom that we have experienced. I would say there's definitely been a deeper level of connection with both of us. Can you speak to, you mentioned a third party, and, I know that, we believe in therapy, we believe in Jesus and therapy together, and, being able to experience that. And so can you just share a little bit of the place for therapy from your perspective now that you've kind of experienced it in a different way, as it relates to being able to create and stay in the conversation so that freedom can run its course?
That's a good question. My take on therapy is skill-based. I don't think therapy is just for you to share all how you just feel and just have some time you dump onto every week or every month. Since we got together, our marriage counselor, everything, what's the skills to be married? Yeah. What's the conversation skills? I think therapy should be giving you skills to communicate. That's it. Skills to be able to communicate. Not skills to hurt the other person or just it's the skills to communicate. It's not trying to fix a problem, because most of the problem is a communication problem. Right? Having a conversation about something. I need skills to be able to relax emotionally so I can get my thoughts out and not be heightened. So I think professional therapy, some people have it at their churches that people are trained to give therapy, but the therapy for me has the benefit when we've had conversations from counselors. I mean, we've been doing this for over 20 years. I mean, this ain't just, we have not just started. I mean, our counselors we went into our marriage counselor saying, hey, If we walk in here for this first meeting, they say we're not ready to get married, we're not getting married. Right? That was just if they tell us we're not ready, we're not ready. We walked in, they said, y'all close to being ready. I got some things I got to talk about. If you get these things fixed out and these skills, then we see that you can have a healthy relationship. It's almost like going to college and not having any books or any nothing. You're just gonna go to college. You're just gonna show up. Huh? You don't have no books, no dorm. You ain't got no skills. You ain't got no expertise. Nothing. You ain't bringing nothing. So I think therapy, counseling, for me, is I need to get the skills so that I can employ these skills in our relationship. I don't think you should go to counseling just to talk about the other part and just they're not doing this. That skill's not helping.
Yeah, and it's not beneficial. It's more venting, And
yes,
there's a place for venting. You can vent, but it's if you want to be productive and move the relationship forward, then skills are certainly you need them. Like you have to employ them. Like people hire people that have skills.
Plumbers, skills. Plumbers, roofers, music teachers. Come on, music education.
All right, music educator.
Oh, that's funny.
And so my last thing before we close up, because I know that anyway, I'm just gonna get in there. All right. So with everything that you have said, that we both came into our relationship with a spiritual relationship, a relationship with God separately. And then we got married. It was something that, in our dating is something that we talked about. And then being married, it's something that we talked about. And it was, a strong foundation in our relationship. Can you speak to a little bit of how in the levels of freedom that you've experienced, even over the last couple of years with our relationship, how your spiritual growth and development has contributed to that or been impacted by that?
That's a good question. But that's a 3-hour conversation right there. I'm gonna sum it up though.
You gotta sum it up. We might have to do a part 2 later, but at least for right now, you can.
I'm gonna sum it up. I think our spiritual development has provided the proper principles to live by. Not rules, but principles to live by. The sun comes up. Well, it don't really come up. We rotate, so let me be clear. We rotate, but you know what I'm saying? The 24 hours the same day. These things are going on. The gravity is a law. And I think spiritually, having a relationship with God, having a relationship with what Christ has done, understanding that stuff and applying those principles in our lives, knowing this is how we live, this is what we do, this is how I am. I'm bringing that. This is what I've committed to. I think you can have a principle and not commit to it. It's like being married, but having somebody on the side. I don't really think that's okay. And so I was like, this is my principle. This is not something I'm going to violate. Right?
Yeah.
Right? I brought that to you. Like, I'm not going to violate because of you, but I'm going to violate because my spiritual life won't allow me to violate this. I'm not going to go against my God. I'm not going to go against what his principle because it's not good for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think my spiritual life has provided the freedom to be joyful because I have a memory of joyful things because I haven't bypassed the speed limit because the speed limit is the principle. Okay, 65 miles an hour. I shouldn't be going 90. You're going to have an accident eventually.
Right.
Right. So our spiritual life has given us the principles to be able to walk in my life as a man and be honorable and being upright, to be focused, to be consistent, and to be honest and be, hey, I'm having a hard time. I'm thinking like this. I'm not going to do this, but I'm thinking like this. I'm scared. I want to go off. I want to yell, but I'm not going to yell because that's going to upset my God. And also it's going to upset you. I don't want that to happen. So my spiritual life, getting married before, and then as we've been married, still going into developing that spiritual part of, okay, what principle do I employ now at the age that I'm in?
Right.
Okay, what things do I know now that I need to, I missed that principle. Oh, I didn't know about that principle. Oh, if I do this is what happens. 2 + 2 = 4. A hug and a kiss go a long way. Love and cherish your wife. Let me do that today. Okay, I'm going to love and cherish Nicole. I do the principle, and the result is you feel loved and you feel cherished.
Facts on facts on facts.
Facts on facts. That's a song.
It's true. So with all of everything that you said, I mean, you've shared so many nuggets. Like, really, I really appreciate your perspective, and this is why I just like talking to you. See why, y'all, we have these long conversations. We
Almost every day.
Right. On and on. With lasting words, if someone that's listening, they might say, that's great for you, and where can I start? I don't feel free. I feel like I'm, the opposite of freedom. I'm hiding. There's things that I'm really not comfortable with, but I want to experience this freedom. What would be maybe some tips or advice that you would give?
One word.
One word. Okay. You got
one word.
One word? Just one?
It's on one.
Okay.
Most folks don't do it. Most folks don't do this one word. They do this one word. They good.
You said one word.
One word.
Out of all that, one word?
One word.
Okay, so drop the one word.
Vision.
Oh.
You have to have the vision for how you want to be. If you don't see how you should be behaving, your vision, how you want to express yourself, how the vision for how you want to be and show up in the world, you have a vision for yourself, you're going to always blame somebody else for how you are. It's your fault why I'm not open. It's your fault why I can't be open because you'll never listen to me. Go through the whole thing. I've done it. So I ain't like because you're not really listening to me. You're not really listening to me. And you be like, I'm sitting right here.
Well, I'm right here.
I'm right here. What you mean I ain't listening to you? And then that causes an argument versus, okay, what kind of vision do I have of myself of being emotionally stable? What's the vision I have of myself? It's one word, vision. Vision for myself. Then I bring myself to the relationship and that vision I have for our connection. This is what I would like.
Yeah.
This is what I see. Vision is what I would like and what it should be. Now, are you able to do that with me? I ask you like, yes, I can. I can't. Well, let's get some help because I want to, this is where I'm trying to go. I want us to be able to, I want to bring that together. Well, I don't see that. Well, that's some reason why some people can't stay together because their visions don't line up. That person don't have this vision. That vision is two different visions. It's one word, vision.
Woo.
One word.
I like that one word. That's good. And I like how you said individual vision for how you see yourself. What do you see for yourself? And that is built-in accountability. Like you have to be accountable for yourself.
Yep.
You cannot
vision for how you want to show up in the world, not vision for what you want to gain in the world.
How you want to show up. Yes.
Like the vision, do I want to show up in this world a mean person? Do I want to show up in this person a negative person? Do I want to show up in this person that people don't like who Mr. B is or Brian is, Brian Cool? Do I want to show how do I show up? Yeah. Not what I'm trying to gain out of this world. I'm trying to get married. I'm trying to have a husband. So it's sitting down and writing, how do I want to show up in this world? Step one. Everybody can do that. Married, single, thinking about getting married 15 years from now, whatever. How do I want to show up in this world? How I want to show up, not what I want to obtain. Because the obtained person will be attracted to you by the law of attraction if you're showing up right.
Ding, ding, ding. Well, I think we're just gonna have to stop because we can continue on and on and on. I want to thank you so much for sharing all of your perspective and opening yourself up and being vulnerable for the last moments that we've been able to have this conversation. And, I know, like the shameless plug, that you do run a music education school. You are a business owner. I want to be able to give you opportunity to share. How can people follow? I mean, for one, just follow you, stay connected with you. And if they're like, man, you play 13 instruments and wait, can you teach me how to do that? How can they get connected with you?
So one, Brian Simmons Music is on Instagram. Brian Simmons Music. That's everything. You can connect with me everywhere, from the music school to creating music to playing on Instagram and I think on Facebook is Brian Simmons. But Instagram. Facebook is Brian, and on Instagram is Brian Simmons Music. So anything you're dealing with music, you just go to my Instagram account and you can connect with me there, and I can see if I can help you out.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Oh. I'm very excited to be in relationship with you because
Love you.
this is the whole purpose is to continue to grow and to be free,
Free.
in your relationship by you being free. So thank you so much for joining us on the show. Y'all just take one step, one action, one thing that you heard today, incorporate that. Listen to this episode, share it, like it, reshare it, repurpose it, share it, all the things, and continue to have freedom in your life. So we will talk to you another time. Thank you, Brian, for being on the show.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
listening to Take Action Podcast. I truly hope you were inspired to take massive action to being your best self. If this resonated with you, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a beat. And write a review so we can share this message with as many people as possible. Head over to my hub, NicoleSimmonsLeadership.com, for more powerful resources to help you release your potential. Make today count. Take action.